Call this meeting to order. First order is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So item number 3, meeting minutes from our prior meeting, September 25th, 2024. Do you have any commission member comments? I did review. It looks great. Thank you, Leah. Any public comment? I'll make a motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item 4, our consent agenda. I'll run through the addresses just for the record. So 8 Lockwood Lane, 173 Ayrshire Drive, and 325 South Bryn Mawr Ave. Matt or anyone else? Any comments?
Yeah, so the first 2, no trees, all the details that we look for were fine. The third one was fine, but they're taking 6 trees. And I looked at their replacement formula, it's perfect. The trees they're taking are hemlocks primarily. So they're going to replace, I think there's going to be adequate replacement. The only thing that I made a call to them because they didn't have a tree species list or placement. And Dave Fiorillo is doing the engineering. So he said when they do have that information, they're going to send that along to the Township and the Shade Tree Commission so that we can review it. So I don't think we should hold them up because they don't have that yet, because they're not sure, they're not in that stage of development where they know what trees they want or where to put them.
Sure. Yeah, as long as the plans are in check and replacements are noted in regards to the count, I think we're lenient on the species.
Yeah, and like I said, the count was right, and they're willing to take our advice on species and placement if we so desire at some point.
Okay. Any other comment? Any public comment on the consent? I'll make a motion to approve consent. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Approved, unanimous. Thank you. All right, to our main show, item 5, new grading permits. Do we have anyone from 770 Newtown Road here with us this evening? Good evening. If you could come up, just state your name in relation to the project. Looks like a pool is going in, 60 cubic yards of dirt to be taken off site, and 0 trees to be removed. Good evening.
Evening. Kirk Larson. I'm the owner of the property.
Great, thank you. And if you could run through, do you have any plans with you this evening? If you do, you can lay them on the table. They will show on screen. If not, we can take a look at the digital versions that we have.
I only have the digital versions that were
Okay,
on
that's
the
fine.
site.
We can pull them up. But if you could just describe the project, the main things that we're looking for when it comes to projects that don't have any trees being removed are the trees that are staying, making sure that they're protected and making sure that the construction equipment that is coming in and out do not impact any of the existing trees.
Yeah, Seth, just to make a clarification, a little bit of a clarification. They were before us the last time we met, and the only thing missing was shade tree protection. And so we asked them to simply show some shade tree protection. They were supposed to come back in September. They did not because maybe they didn't get to it. So this was a August meeting, I think. So that's it.
Understood. Okay. So do you have any context to the engineer's updates to the plans to show tree protection that you could just summarize for us?
No. I got a note from the engineer that said that apparently some of the modifications that they had made were basically approved, and I had to come before the Shade Tree Commission
Understood.
and answer any questions you had. So
Sure. Okay.
I'm not doing so well so far. But.
It's all good. So I'm looking at the plans that were resubmitted. So there's indication of the tree protection detail as outlined by the township, and then in the plans we do see tree protection indicated.
Yeah, you could see the little, they're going to put some stones down to be able to get the heavy equipment down into the backyard. There's one big tree that sits right there that really will not be impacted at all by the activity that's taking place. There's plenty of room between then. And then as you go to the back of the house, there's one tree next to the deck. If you see the little stone there, we're not doing any changes to that. And other than that, every other tree is very far away from the way things are set up. It's very far away.
Okay. And actually, now that I'm looking at the plans in more detail, I do see the limit of disturbance indicated, but I don't see
Maybe on page one.
page one.
Got the line in the yes, maybe that's tree protection.
Maybe I'm looking at it a different, oh, it's split up, I see. Got it. Yes. Yep, okay. Got it. Let me just verify that real quick. So I am seeing the gravel drive construction entrance next to that large tree.
Correct.
Just make sure, as a homeowner, if you want to make sure that that tree survives and thrives, root compaction is a big killer of trees, so make sure when the tree protection fence is set up that it's at the drip line of the tree, and make sure that there aren't any pieces of equipment running around the base of the tree or parking near it or whatever.
Okay. I think
Any
the way
other-
it's configured, I can't imagine that being the case, so I'll make sure that they do run that wide of the tree.
Perfect. Any other commission comments? Any public comment? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
all
out.
very much,
Good luck.
appreciate it.
All right, next address, 799 Godfrey Road, clubhouse expansion, AKA Overbrook Golf Club. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Joe Mangialuzzi. I represent Apex Design and Engineering. I'm here for the Overbrook Golf Club renovation project. We're here as part of our grading permit application for this project. We were last before this commission in July 26, 2023, where we received a 5-0 approval for this project. That was part of our land development application at the time, which we received approval from Radnor Township October 23rd, 2023. So if you'd like, I can go over the project again and explain to you exactly what we're doing. We are not cutting any trees down. But the site is pretty much a cut-fill balance. I think there may be 20 cubic yards that may be coming off the site. But in general, there's no impact to trees. And just as a reminder, the last time we were before you, your comment was to protect some shrubs that were out front of the parking area. So
I do remember that.
So real
debate.
quick, I met with Brandon, the superintendent, recently, and I reminded him about the shrubs. There is no impact, any trees. We walk the egress. Brandon's always been a straight shooter with me and as always overplan it when requested. So they're in the clear for sure.
Thank you for that follow-up, John. And I know the shrubs were larger, so I think that was our concern, was just, yes, we're here about trees, but we care about all plants. So if you could just do a quick summary of the project, and then if there's any changes since the last time we looked at these plans to today, and I think we can get this moving.
okay. In general, everything in red here is going to get removed in the red hatch. We have a cart barn here, an existing cart barn. Here's the existing clubhouse. The project essentially removes this impervious area to make way for an overhead bridge that's going to connect the cart barn to the clubhouse. We are going to take the roof off the cart barn, basically come up 3 stories, and then have a bridge that connects over to the clubhouse. Essentially, that is the construction in a nutshell. This plan here actually shows you the new walkway and cart path areas, the new porch that's going to be connected to the clubhouse. Here is the area where we have the overhead bridge. We have some pavers here. And again, we're reconnecting to the existing drop-off parking lot area over here with an ADA-type ramp system over here. In the back, there's an existing stormwater bed that's over here. As part of our impervious increase, we are going to add to the existing stormwater basin in this direction right here. And essentially, that is the project. I think over here, this practice green is going to get impacted, therefore it may get replaced as well.
Okay,
Essentially,
Yeah.
that's the project.
great, thank you. The stormwater area and then the practice green, are there any trees around either of those?
No.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that. Any commission comments? Any public comment? All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank
Thank-
you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, item C, 417 Yorkshire Way, new family dwelling, 5 trees to be removed, 475 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site. Good evening. Not good evening. I thought I had someone coming up. All right. We will table that address for the time being, 417 Yorkshire. Item D, 809 Valk Lane Road. Anyone here for that address? None? Okay. Moving on to item E, 1300 Eagle Road. Good evening. So this is land development for Eastern University, a gymnasium. And there are trees being removed for this project, correct? Okay, great.
Good evening. Mike Rakosny from Site Engineering here on behalf of Eastern. This is the preliminary land development application for, we're calling it the Gym ELC project. So this is I don't know if you can hear me or not. Just a aerial view of the site. You have Radnor, or Eagle Road to the north, and Fenimore to the west. We've been before you guys previously for the Workman Hall addition about a year ago, and then the baseball field in the spring. Both of those are currently under construction. Tonight we're here for, in addition to the Eagle Learning Center, and then in addition to the gymnasium. The gymnasium addition displaced a decent amount of parking, so we're proposing an access road and then 2 parking areas in correlation with this project. This is an overview of the gym addition. The parking area decreases in size, so we have the existing gym, the gym addition, a parking area, and then an access road that has parking. And the purpose of this is to pretty much close off the campus so it can be like a complete loop for access. The next part of the project is an addition onto the Eagle Learning Center just to expand their admissions office. And then in the front of Eagle Learning Center is where we're proposing the additional parking and then just closing an access, making a loop around the building. And then the third area is next to Sparrock Hall, and this is just a parking area, and its current condition is an open field. So this is just adding the parking spaces that were displaced from the gym. So this is the existing conditions and demolition plan for the gym area. As you can see, there's a large parking lot, pool, and then just some pavement. There's a stream here, and then a volleyball court, and just like some small access paths. And this plan also shows our tree protection fence. I highlighted it in yellow on the plan just because it's a little difficult to read on the overhead projector. Correct, sorry. The
Mike,
X's
correct.
are the trees to be removed. I thought you had a question. Okay, so now this will get into the planting schedule for the gym addition. So in total, we're removing 17 trees. That required us to provide 39 trees. Separate from this project, there was a previously approved access road that was prepared by a different engineering firm. They are only now doing the culvert portion of those projects. So we've incorporated the trees that they proposed to be removed and added the 11 trees that were required from their project as well. So we're required with our project to provide 39 trees. With their additional removal, we're providing 50. We're required to provide 50 trees, and we are providing 52 trees. I believe the planting schedule was in your packet.
Yeah, we had just received this not too recent ago, so we didn't get a chance to
Okay.
review it in depth. Could you outline the trees to be removed, the DBHs of those for us, please?
Yes, it was a little hard to see. So I'll start with where the access road is being proposed and work our way through. I believe it is a 28-inch maple, an 8-inch maple, a 4-inch maple.
There's no need to go through each one.
Oh, okay.
Do you have the table that summarizes so we have the three groupings of 6 to 18, 19
Yes,
to
it's in
29?
the top left corner
Okay.
of
Yeah, if you could
sheet
just
C-107.
voice over that, please. Thank you.
So there are 12 trees with 6 to 18-inch diameter proposed to be removed, one with 19 to 29-inch diameter, and then 4 trees that are greater than 30-inch diameter.
Okay.
And those heritage trees are coming from, so this is currently where there's an existing pool and an opening. This will be the footprint of the proposed gym addition.
Out of those total 17 trees, are any of them hazardous, or are they all healthy?
One is declining. There's an oak tree that's declining. But the rest, there's a 24-inch that's hazardous, sorry.
Okay. Are you including that hazard tree in the total count, or is that excluded?
We included the hazardous trees in
Okay.
the total count.
And the tree that's in decline?
Correct.
Okay. So out of the 17, 36, 39 replacements, as you had noted, with,
But including the 11, correct, Mike?
Including the 11, we're required 50 trees.
That's correct. And that was a project Mr. Capella and Norsini were involved in.
Yeah, it's a separate permit. They're under construction for the culverts now, and then we're taking over the access road from
But the
that
projects
project.
coincide together,
Yes.
from what I'm told from Norsini.
and then, so out of your 39 for this project, there needs to be 18 large canopy,
Correct.
okay? And then out of the 11, do you know that breakdown of those DBH trees?
We didn't have access to that, so we just
Okay.
provided 11 canopy trees.
Okay, being that that was previously approved, I don't think those details are required for this. Okay, could you give us just a mixture or flavor of the planting schedule and just specifically kind of touch on the large canopy trees?
Yeah, so they're all native plantings. The trees that I put a green dot on here, they're just the ornamental trees. So we have apple serviceberry, eastern redbud, white fringe tree, winter king hawthorn, and sweet bay magnolium. So those are just the ornamental trees that we're just providing to make the campus look nice. And then the rest are the large canopy trees.
Understood. And if you could for me, just flip back to the sheet that shows the removals. Just want to speak briefly around tree protection and access and everything else. I'm assuming the proposed road and parking, I know that lot because we did a site visit. It's fairly hilly and there's not too much maneuvering, but did you take trees into account when you planned out the new access and the parking?
Yes, so I have a ENS plan in the back here. So we're proposing to have access, this is the like Thomas Road, connector road from the campus. So all of the construction access is going to be internal to the campus. and we're proposing the construction to come over the proposed access road. So the culverts are being constructed now. Construction will work its way in from Thomas Road.
Okay. And any of the positioning of that access road and new drive and parking, was it specifically maneuvered around any of the larger trees in that area?
So the access road had to line up with the culverts that were previously proposed. So we kind of had to thread the needle of meeting where the culverts are being constructed.
Understood.
And then the parking area, this was chosen because in its current state, it's an opening with a volleyball court that's not being used anymore. So that just is, we tried to minimize the clearing for the additional parking.
Sure. Okay. Any other commission comments, questions?
Just one comment. This is before planning, and it's not even at the preliminary approval stage because there are issues with the sizes of buildings. There's issues with, the staff had about 32 comments on that issue, that portion of this application. So I just want this group to be aware that building sizes might change or not.
We resolved that issue with township staff, and then in regards to the comments, we addressed those comments and resubmitted Monday, October 14th.
Great, okay, that's good.
And the plans that we're reviewing today, are those revised, submitted
Correct.
plans? Okay. Can you just describe what some of the changes were? Any changes to the building footprint or anything else?
No changes to the building footprint. It was more of a question on interpretation of multiple buildings in a, how they could be lined up together.
Sure.
Some of the changes that were required are mostly traffic related. It was widening the access road, radii, providing a correct parking count, some stormwater comment cleanup, nothing that really changed the site plan.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
One other thing I would just note is that on the parking lot planting, you're going to plant the parking lots, I assume, right?
Yes, I'll get into the next two areas.
Okay,
This is
great,
just
great.
the gym area for now.
Great.
So any other comments on this part of the project?
The
before we
gym
move
is staying, right?
So yes, the gym is staying. It's an addition just to expand onto it.
Gotcha.
Right now, there's a lot of locker room sharing, coaches sharing offices. So it's not really expanding the uses. It just is giving existing teams their own facility.
That's cool. And Thomas Driver Road, is that next to Fenimore? Is that the one that comes into Fenimore?
No, so the access to Fenimore is actually being closed off or being used as an emergency access.
Okay.
So we're providing the access road, Thomas Drive, or Thomas Road, comes in off of Eagle Road and then loops through campus.
Gotcha.
And right now it kind of just does an L, and this is providing a loop up to the campus, or up to the gym.
One other question, the stream, there was a big repair project years ago on that stream. Is it being affected at all by this project?
No, so there was, that project finished. There was a temporary culvert that was put in place that was abandoned. So we'll be removing that as part of this project. There's 2 new bridges that are being constructed now, and that will support the access road.
Okay, I think we can move on to the next area.
I was flipping and talking, so I got.
All good.
This is just a view showing there was a slight cutoff to show the north side of the gym.
Thank you.
So the next area is the Eagle Learning Center. This is showing the X's are the trees to be removed. Again, I highlighted tree protection fence, pretty much enclosing our limit of disturbance because it's heavily wooded around this area. The area that we're proposing the parking lot is actually pretty clear. There were some previous projects, I think, that they had cleared that area for that were never constructed, so we're coming back and using that area for parking. So in the bottom left of this, I don't know if you can zoom in at all. This is the tree removal schedule. We're removing 25 trees that are 6 to 18 inch in diameter, which are requiring us to plant 25. And then of those 25, 6 of them are required to be canopy trees, and we're providing 11 canopy trees.
So for the 6 to 19 category, or I'm sorry, 6 to 18 category, we don't require a large canopy, but I appreciate that you have those included.
Okay.
And out of those 25, are there any that are in decline or hazardous that are worth noting?
I don't believe so in this area.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
One
And-
other question, the parking lots, are they, just out of curiosity, are they done with impervious asphalt, or is it some sort of pervious material?
We're using standard asphalt for this one, so I can flip back to, under this parking lot is where we're proposing a subsurface stormwater system to support the parking lot area and the Eagle Learning Center addition. We did not receive perks in that area. We did infiltration testing, and the soil just doesn't permit infiltration. So this is going to be a subsurface detention basin. Were there any questions on the planting for the Eagle Learning Center?
Yeah, if you could just run us through the species proposed, that would be great.
Okay. It's a little hard to read on the screen, but I'll go through it. So again, I just put dots on the trees that are ornamental trees. So the ornamental trees that we're providing are autumn brilliant serviceberry, eastern redbud, Washington hawthorn winter kings, and fringe trees. The rest are larger canopy trees.
And those,
Some of them are red maple, yellowwood trees, magnifica hackberry, fruitless sweet gum, eastern hop hornbeam.
all natives.
Yes.
Good work. Thank you. Okay.
Is that a slender silhouette, the sweet gum?
I have to ask the landscape architect about that one.
To the left. What does it say?
Sorry, which
The
one are you?
Latin is to the left.
The which?
Of the sweet
So
gum,
Sweet gum,
and then the Latin.
it's to the left side, next to the quantity.
It'll say liquid ambar styraciflua. What's
Okay,
the third
so
word?
it's not- Okay.
Rotundilla bulb.
Rotundula, so it's not the columnar.
It's not- okay.
It's,
I thought you were, I thought if it was slender silhouette as a large canopy tree, it wouldn't work out.
Okay, back to my Catholic school roots sounding out
You
Latin. here.
passed the test.
Okay. So that is the second area of the project. The third is just the small overflow parking. This is next to Sparrock Residence Hall. So in its existing condition, it's just an open field with a walkway going through it. The X's, again, are the trees to be removed. Yellow highlighted lines are the proposed tree protection fencing. Okay. So in this area, we have 3 trees with 6 to 18-inch diameter proposed to be removed, and 1 tree with greater than 30-inch diameter. And we are providing 9 total trees here. 4 canopy trees, and we're providing 6.
Great. We had talked about the increased parking need for the gymnasium, but if you could just speak to the reason for these additions.
Yes, so the parking lot next to the gym in its existing state. Let me get to it. The parking spots are not to township code. They're actually smaller than what's required. So what we're doing is adding the gym addition, and then the lot that we're providing, all the spaces are to township code. So adding the larger spaces displaced some of them. So the net count of parking spaces on campus is staying the same. It's just being relocated to 2 other areas.
I got you. And how about the impervious difference? I guess it's adding, right, because you're
Yeah,
adding
we're
to the gymnasium.
adding. I don't have the number in front of
Okay.
me, but we're adding impervious.
All good. Got it.
And then we'll be doing a NPDS permit as well for the stormwater and erosion sediment control.
Okay. Hate to see the trees come out, but, I think everything that we've reviewed is well put together, so thank you. Very detailed. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, the only question I have is, How long has this been made available on the agenda if there were to be public comment?
I'm not
Did we
sure
just-
about that. I know,
Was it just posted today?
We'll let Leah jump in on this.
Yeah, engineering asked to add it today, so.
our initial submission was in July. I think we were supposed to be on the August agenda, and there was a mix-up. So they added us onto the agenda today.
Yeah, that was my.
Yeah, the
question, is,
August
has there been
meeting was canceled
opportunity?
anyway, so.
Yeah, the standard posting is 7 days prior, right? A week prior.
Yes, that's true.
However, what are the upcoming, there are upcoming approvals and meetings with the township in front of?
Yes, we'll be back
Coming
in
back
front
to
of you guys
planning.
several times. So I don't have the dates in front of me. I know that we'll be at Planning Commission, I believe, next Monday. So that will be our first preliminary. We've also been to the township several times for the variances for the parking and for some steep slope disturbance. So I believe our initial submission was in April of this year to the Planning Commission. So we've been back and forth several times. We'll be back to you guys for final and grading as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is a fair point. I think if there was anything that was of concern, then, we might need to table you, just given the, getting this on the agenda within the past couple of days here.
Yeah, I think the other issue too was the next shade tree isn't until December 3rd. So we'd missed the November and December Planning Commission meetings.
Okay. I mean, I'm comfortable with this, if you guys are. Okay. Any public comment? Okay. I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. 60 West. Good evening. So I know that you guys have been before us previously. I think we made a couple of requests. So if you could just run us through any updates that you may have, and then we can talk through any questions. Thank you.
Well, the only update is we've submitted the hazardous tree report that you requested last time, and you should have copies of that. The only update to that report is there's been an additional tree that's passed away. We've kept our number the same, so we're still providing the same number of trees. And the other request last time was you wanted us to look at the opportunities to plant on a corner of the lot. The ground falls away quite dramatically here. There's a bunch of invasive plants that have grown up, but as you notice, we got utility lines that sort of run up through that area. So it's really not feasible to plant anything other than a shrub on that ground. It's not feasible to plant
Okay.
a tree.
Well, we appreciate you taking another look at it. It does look like a challenging area to plant. Those wires, though, where the shrubs are today.
Yeah, you can see there's a utility pole here.
Mm-hmm.
And the lines come down here. So this ground falls away quite dramatically, and if you put a shade tree there, it's going to be running into the lines.
Okay. From the edge of the parking lot to the utility lines, how many feet would you estimate?
I can't give you that. I don't know what the estimate is for that. When I was out there by eye, it looks like it's right over the top, but it might be to the side slightly. But, you're going to be, or Pico's going to be butchering a tree if you put it in there.
Well,
Even if you,
if it's 20 feet away, I think.
it's not 20 feet
Okay.
away, and if you look at, this is kind of deceptive because we're actually sort of we're going into that ground with the new addition.
Understood. So it would be right up against.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if we could get another tree in there, trust me, we would have one there.
Understood. Thank you. And then just back to the hazard tree report, I'm looking at the photos right now. They look very dead. John, did you get a chance to review?
I mean, it's a declining overstory. Obviously, there hasn't been much maintenance there in the past, maybe, 25 years, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, I concur with the risk-related trees.
Great. Any questions from the commission? I think they satisfied our requests from previous. One other item, and you may not be the right guy to answer this, but just questions on the subdivision of the parking lot that's going to be granted to the township. Thank you. If you could just give some details. I think we haven't really been provided any details to it yet.
Sure. So we received preliminary approval for the subdivision of the parking lot from the property. We are at the board on Monday for final approval for the subdivision, and then we will be at the board for preliminary land development approval on Monday.
Could you, on the plans, just indicate that subdivision area?
Yeah, so you see the lines here, the dotted lines?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the new subdivided parcel that we are acquiring, and it's subdividing from the existing AT&T lot.
And then the existing AT&T lot, that is being handed over to the township? Is that what I understand?
So the AT&T lot, there's actually really three separate parcels. That's one. You have the building lot, the Bellevue parking lot, and then the parking lot on the other side of West.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's one tax parcel. So we're subdividing out the front Bellevue lot, and then the lease that the township has with AT&T, the existing lease, is being transferred to the West Avenue lot. And we actually have, we've been going back and forth with the township as part of land development with the design of the West Avenue lot, and we will be formally submitting a plan as part of our preliminary land development approval for that lot. But we wanted to, if you had a few minutes, we wanted to be able to walk you through what we're doing on that lot.
Yeah, that would be.
Is that fair?
That would be great. Thank you.
Full size? I've got a small one. I don't know if you got that. You don't have any plantings on?
I have your plantings in the back. Slide.
Yeah. So our predicament with this lot is there are all kinds of myriad of underground wires, lines, fiber optic. So AT&T does not want us digging up any asphalt. We are proposing to plant new trees along where we can. Right now there's some existing Norway maples which we're going to remove, and we're proposing to plant some white oak and some buckeye along in this edge here. And then in the planting, in the parking lot itself, we're looking to do a rolled curb to sort of create planting areas. And then we're going to, and this is just an example of what we're going to put in. We're going to put planters in those areas and plant a mix of gray birch and Rus typhina, a plant that I love, but usually I can't plant because it runs. Well, it won't run here. It's just going to be in a planter.
And these are raised planters,
yes,
correct? Okay.
Yes. So we're going to get trees in here where otherwise it was just a blank piece of asphalt.
Sure. Thank you for that overview. And this will come before us later because this is being subdivided.
Yeah, yes, I think we'll be back in between preliminary and final.
Got it. Understood.
And this will be included in the preliminary set that's going in front of the board on Monday.
And have you been in discussions with the township and engineering around the specifics of this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth. And
Good
that's
deal.
why it's, unfortunately, why we haven't provided it to you yet, because it was just finalized in the last few days.
All good. Okay. Any other details that are worth noting for what you had just discussed? I think.
Not really. I mean, we've just got in the areas where we've got the rolled curb, we're going to put a sort of a Delaware River stone rather than just mulch. So it's sort of easier to maintain. And then we'll have sort of a shrub layer and perennial layer within these planters.
Okay, great.
Oh, and some lighting?
And there's a light going somewhere.
Yeah, so the lot right now is not well lit, and there are some utility poles along west, and there was a request to see if we could get lighting in the parking lot, but again, we can't go subsurface. So what we're proposing to do, Mike, can you describe it a little bit in detail?
Yes, we're proposing solar-powered light fixtures. So what that is, it's just the post, and then using one of these concrete planter boxes, we'll use one of those planter boxes, fill it with concrete, and then that becomes the foundation for the light. So now the light is sitting on top of the pavement rather than going subsurface.
Understood. And just, this is nothing to do about trees, but this lot will turn into a township lot of which the public can park at.
Correct.
Got it. Is it metered?
It will be.
Okay.
And who's going to own it? Is it still 60 West?
Yeah, the land is owned by AT&T,
By AT&T.
and the lease will be held by the township. We're just facilitating. Yeah, we're we're facilitating the lease and then doing the improvements. But then the lease agreement between the township and AT&T stipulates who maintains it, and I believe it's the township that maintains the lot.
Township will maintain it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Okay. So this will come before us later, so there's no room for official comments just yet, but thank you for that overview. So the original parcel that we reviewed, I think that's fully satisfied. Any comments on that specifically? Any public comment? I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Thank you guys for the details. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Have a good night.
Good luck. Okay, next address, 245 South Bryn Mawr Ave, land development. Good evening.
I have the plans on a USB. I was told I was allowed.
Ian, do you mind coming from behind the curtain and, thank you. Should just be able to, well, yeah, maybe Ian can take care of it back there, or we can plug it into the laptop up here. Yeah. All good, thank you. While Ian's getting that set up, if you could just introduce yourself, the project, any trees coming out.
My name is Megan Schomper. I am representing Inland Design, who are the civil engineers. I'm the landscape architect there. And the project is 245 South Bryn Mawr Ave. And currently there's a doctor's office, a dentist's office with a couple, like, I believe 3 apartments in there.
Excuse me 1 minute. Is this the one we approved already?
It just came in. We
this
just
was in
submitted it
the,
9/7/10.
The consent? No? Oh, okay.
We submitted it 9/17.
Yep, that's new.
I don't believe we've gotten any comments back yet, as of yet. This is the first time. That's okay. I don't know if I get this one bigger. So currently, like I said, it is we can't see that far. It's a dentist's office with, like, I believe 3 apartment units. We are removing 3 trees, one here, and one here. These 3 trees, we left them on the plan, but I believe they might have to be removed. They're declining, they're leaning over the other property. I didn't put them on the plan as being removed yet, and they're within the LOD, so that is something we might have to look at.
So the project itself, is the current dentist's office, it's being removed and replaced with,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
seeing on sheet 3
Yes,
is.
the whole entire
okay.
office is being replaced by
Understood.
a 4-unit townhouse.
Okay. Matt, did this come before planning? Not yet, okay. What's the likelihood of those additional 3 in the back needing to come out?
I believe pretty likely, looking at the rain garden that's going in
Mm-hmm.
right there. If you look at the landscape plan, as you can see, right? There's one right here and these 2. So this one is they're within the grading. They're very close to the
Got it. So the rain garden requires grading, and obviously the
Right over here.
townhomes going in
Mhm.
are going to have some grading around it. Okay. And the currently indicated 3 trees that are coming out, what are the
Right.
DBH of those?
They are, these are on here. They are between 6 and 18 inches DBH,
All 3?
all 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we were replacing with 3 canopy trees, Harpinus carolina, yellowwood, Kentucky yellowwood, and white swamp oak, quickest
Okay.
by color.
And those additional 3, do you happen to have the DBH of those?
Yes, they're between 15 and 18. So we have a 15, an 18, and a 17.
Okay, so those would all be,
15, 18, and 17.
so all 6 would be under 18-inch DBH.
And there is room for 3 more, if possible.
Okay.
'Cause there's a parking driveway back,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a subsurface
Okay.
storm.
Would, I know you can't necessarily speak to the owner's preference, but could we just get 6 trees committed for the likelihood that those other 3 may need to come down? Do you think that's possible?
It is possible. I'm not going to assume that he's
Sure.
going to say yes, but
Okay.
it is possible.
And even if they don't necessarily need to come out with that amount of disturbance back there, you know, they might be okay for the first couple of years, but, you know, the root impacts,
Definitely.
you know,
And
might.
like I said, a couple of them are at risk of, they're really
Mhm.
leaning over.
Okay.
And
And I believe you are a certified arborist too,
I am a
correct?
certified
Yeah.
arborist, yes.
Very rare, certified arborist and RLA.
I like that.
Very rare.
Yeah. Welcome. Okay, and so we went over DBHs, and the DBHs, are they indicated on the plans specifically?
They would be indicated on the existing other demolition.
Okay, good, as long as they're indicated. And if you could speak to tree protection, do you have a sheet that indicates tree protection?
We do. Well, we have the detail. I did not see it on my plan, and I can look at the E&S plan if it has been placed on there. Like I said, we just submitted this. Hopefully it's on there. It's on there.
What sheet?
Tree protection fence, right there.
Okay.
8 of 13.
Got it.
So, yes.
Could you just run I know sounds crazy, run the mouse cursor around where the tree protection is through the site?
Circles the tree.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. All right, so they are being protected, but
Yes.
there is a likelihood, being that bottom tree, I mean, that rain garden
Right.
is right in the drip line, okay.
I do have fear
Yeah,
that
for sure.
it should be, it will most likely fail, and I can go back out on site and see how it counts for a risk tree also.
Sure. And then, any other tree protection on the other side of the lot that's indicated?
No, those are the only 3 trees.
Okay,
There weren't a lot of trees on this site.
okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? I guess, so in the front of, if you go to sheet, because this doesn't have the trees on it, if you go to sheet, what is this, 10 of 13? Yeah, and then, yeah, so the trees that are in the front of the lot and towards the side, are any of those within, to your knowledge, within the limit of disturbance or construction, ingress, egress?
This tree? Or,
Well, any of those surrounding trees?
I don't believe so. I think the limit of disturbance is not. I don't understand what you mean, because
So-
this is the only that's the only small tree on there.
So the trees that are indicated here, to the right of that tree that you were pointing to, those big three, are those proposed?
Yes.
Oh, okay, understood.
Yes.
3 proposed, and then if you go further to the right,
Proposed.
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 Okay, got it. So 3 trees coming out, a possible additional 3. And how many total trees are going in? Because it looks like it's more than 3, right?
There are 9 shade trees and 17 evergreen trees and 42 evergreen shrubs.
Got it. Okay, so even if those additional 3 were to come out, you have plenty of replacements.
Yes.
Okay. Was there a reason to put in more than required? I mean, we love it, but just wanted to understand.
I love
I'm not going to argue
trees.
with it.
The client actually wanted to make the site look better than it does right now, and most of his projects, he likes to add a little bit extra
Okay.
to them.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'm clear now.
It's the one with the big parking lot, right?
Just
Yes.
Put on your mute, or your mic.
Big parking lot, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just an older house. It's been added onto.
It
and
has
then-
the ramp in front?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
it.
Gotcha. Township took down a tree there this year, too.
I believe it was one in the,
The front.
yeah, either the right or the left. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that evergreen tree is gross.
I'm clear. Anyone else? Any public comment? All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Thank you. Good
Great,
luck.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys.
Of course. Looping back around, do we have anyone from 417 Yorkshire Way? Anyone from 809 Falkland Road? All right, they will get pushed to our next meeting. All right, so that takes us through everything on the new grading permits. Moving on to item 6, tree removal clearing permits. Anyone from 234 Windermere with us? Good evening.
Hi. I am Jeremy Midwinter. I'm the homeowner. Hi.
Great. If you could just introduce, do you have any plans that you could share with us?
No, it was
Okay.
just, I think something got submitted, I believe it did, by the arborist. So,
Okay. Taking a look at those right now. So if you could just describe kind of what your project is, why the removal for the tree, and then we'll ask you some questions.
so it's a horse chestnut that's close to the house and the foundation. It's about 12 foot away from the house. It's difficult to access the garage, so it's sort of about 7.5 foot wide driveway and a 6.5 foot wide car, and some of the canopy is leaning over the side of the house. So it's just the ease of access for us within there, and obviously it's a tree that's been put in some time ago, prior to cars being a little bit bigger, and that's where we are, and it's sort of a widening the driveway as they plan to do for the kids and for living there. We still have some other larger trees on the property, I don't know exactly what they are. I think we've got some cedar, spruce, silver birch, but I don't know if that's the UK saying versus American saying or what it is. Like this tree, I call it a conker tree. You don't call it a conker tree as a horse chestnut, but I recognize it's a large tree. I mean, when I would have desired to have kept it, but it's really too close to the house. And the falling fruit as well was interesting when the kids were there wandering around. I've got 2 little kids.
So as a shade tree commission, we do highly discourage removing heritage trees, which we classify as 30 inches and above. And also for the removal of this tree, it would require 6 compensatory trees to be planted.
Okay.
Do you have any plans or room to plant 6 trees? 4 of them would be large canopy trees. 2 of them would be small to medium-sized trees.
I would say not necessarily the room. I mean, it would be on the back lawn or the garden. I would be planting sort of like probably some hemlock, a fringe tree, a cherry tree. Putting a large tree. I'd have to look at what that is and take a recommendation of where you would put that.
Okay. And then I'm looking at your photos. So the drive on the right side, so the straight line of the drive, is that the property line?
That's
or
the
could,
property line.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you can't.
it literally is right on the property line, and that's the challenge. If it hadn't have been, I completely understand, and I would have looked at alternative. But we did when I purchased the house, we did the survey for the property line, and it literally is. I think if you see the stone, that is the property line, which is the challenge of driving a car up within that.
Understood. As far as the health of the tree, from the photos, it looks like it's a healthy tree. Have you had to have any work done to that tree since you've been in the home?
So I bought closed in August. It does have 1 wire within there. The insurance, when they did the assessment, did sort of say about clearing the tree and the overhanging within that space. But I've been there for a month and a half, and I'm not quite there yet. So,
sure, still.
So when I drove by, Seth, the crown is good. It's full. There's 1 dead leader that is on the house side that's stumped off. So it's about it looks like about a 25, 30-foot dead leader. The rest of the tree, the flare is good. There's no, I couldn't tell any rot, but I'm sitting on the street, so this was a good 35, 40 feet from where I was sitting. But my view of it would be if there's some way to radically prune this up, get the dead leader out, lighten the load over the house. That would be my suggestion, but John, you've seen the tree, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very viable tree.
Turn your mic on, John.
It's a very viable tree. I spoke with the arborist, Mr. Joe Hayden. There's no defects or longevity issues, obviously, with this tree. Did you explore, I know there's a property line issue. Did we explore any other options in terms of, with an engineer, maybe redesigning the driveway to help you out in any fashion to preserve the tree?
I haven't as of yet, but the bottom of the tree and the root, I would say it's 3 feet, I'd say, before the driveway. So if I was to extend the driveway, I'd be going right up against the tree. I'm not an arborist, so I don't think that's a good thing necessarily of like tarmacking or going all the way along there. So it was really within that space. And if I'm driving the car up, it really isn't wide enough for the car when, kids, fence.
Sure.
So looking, that's the challenge I have. I mean, believe me, it wasn't the plan when I bought
No,
the
no,
house.
absolutely.
That's
I
where
mean,
it was.
we understand that, this commission, prides itself on preservation, and most people in front of us are coming with trees that are degraded or have some sort of defect, which causes or triggers for them to come in front of us. In this matter, it's a beautiful, healthy tree, and it's a driveway issue, so it's, very concerning within the township, of course.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yep.
I completely understand.
Yep.
I mean, it's a large tree that was put there years ago, 12 foot from the house. It's not something that you would do today, but that's where we are. It's an old house, and I recognize where we're at. I mean, I will certainly look at placing the trees of what that is and take recommendation of where that is. I mean, I think it's going to be along the side. We could plant along the side of where that is, there are a couple of very large trees, larger than that, on the side and actually on the front on Windermere Avenue. I'm actually not sure on the ownership of those because it's the other side of the sidewalk as well on one of them. We'll obviously maintain and keep those as good condition as we can. But I'm obviously open to put in whatever I need to do to remove that.
If there is not room for those 6 replacement trees, then we have what's called fee in lieu of, which is $300 per tree, and basically we take those funds and plant trees elsewhere in the township.
I believe it's 500 right now.
Residential 300, commercial 500. Yeah, all good. That just got adopted this past Monday, so still ironing out the details.
But John, did anybody go up in the tree at all? Has anybody been in the tree? I just can't see the back of it. It's totally fine? There's no decay up there? No?
No, it's definitely had some work. It's got a cable in there. It's definitely had the cable in from that side, yeah.
So I'm leaning towards what I would really love to see is identifying if you can fit 6 trees in. Typically what we would require is seeing a planting schedule that identifies, the species, the amount that you're going to plant, and if, let's say, you can only fit 4 trees, and then that way we can identify those additional 2 that need to be fee in lieu of.
Okay. Is that someone I'd work with Joe? Joe Hart, my tree guy, would be the main guy to sort of plan that out? Sorry, he would be, yeah. He would help me on that. Okay.
And so you've probably seen all the professional drawings that have come before us tonight. We don't necessarily need that. Basically, what we would need is, you could draw it up yourself.
An aerial map, yeah.
And just an aerial map indicating where the house, the drive, garage, existing tree, and ideally any other trees, and then just indicating where the new trees are going in.
Okay.
And what species they are.
Okay.
But I would want to see that before we make any motion personally.
Okay.
Is that part of the ordinance?
It is planting.
I don't think so, because if you're taking down a heritage tree, it goes to a clearing permit, which is what they did. And if you read the ordinance, it says it comes before the shade tree to approve it or not, and then they have to plant the compensatory.
But the planting plan is a part of the requirement. And we need to know if 4 can fit, if 6 can fit.
I just would disagree until I see that. Because I went over this 2 days ago. I checked the ordinance. I agree that you have to compensatory trees, but it doesn't state in the ordinance. I'm just saying you could come back, give it to John and say, we're planting these 6 trees, like we do with everybody, instead of tabling it.
That's an option. I just want to make sure, we have time to think on this one, because I know it is a significant tree. And it is, speaking of the ordinance, it is within our right to kind of say one way or the other.
It is, yes.
If we, let's say, denied removal of it, there could be escalation beyond, our board and our body. Obviously, we would never want to be in a position where that would, come to fruition. We want to work with you and figure it out. But happy to hear other commission members' thoughts on tabling versus approving with conditions.
Can I just ask a question, maybe a crazy question, but is it possible to extend the driveway around the left side of the tree as you face it? Make a little circular drive around the tree, with the tree as the center?
So it's 12 foot.
Between the tree and the house?
Between the tree and the house. So then it'll be going into sort of like the back of the house and doing that side of the stuff. So it would be, plans were going to be of a decking area, because there's not much seating behind at the back. So it would be sort of going into that, of working around that space.
Okay.
So then to me, and the challenge will be then your tarmacking or around the house, and then what space have you got to get the car around? Again, the same challenge is going to be there. Otherwise, I don't want to tarmac straight up to the base of the tree. So I did look to think it was. If it was wider, I think that would have definitely been in the option and have a circular thing. But I really don't think it's that wide enough. And that turn is sort of like would be tighter. And then you'd be going around the back of the house so much more. So I did look at that as an option, and I didn't feel it was feasible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's all right. It does, I'm looking at the aerial view of your property now. It does look like you have room for 6, in my opinion. Any other thoughts or questions?
So the placing of that, that's something that you would say, because if the placing of that would be effectively eating up the lawn space or what that is, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking aerial
yeah, no, there's an
right now. Obviously, you want to have some backyard space.
Yeah.
You don't want to live in a forest. I get it. But maybe your side yard areas beside the garage, up towards the street looks like maybe one. I don't know. If
you could probably do on the front, on the right. There's a space there within there because the driveway goes down and around, and there's a bit there that.
Mm-hmm.
What about a compromise where the applicant puts in what he can, what he's comfortable with, and the rest goes to fee in lieu of?
Yeah, I mean, that's within right, and that's what I would, propose.
That's fine. Would you like me to come back to here? Is this that's what the plan would be? Come back here, or?
I mean, I hate to see this size tree be removed, but it is smack in the middle of your driveway, so I get it. And you're right up against the property line. You can't go anywhere else. So it's a tough one, but I think, you got to be able to enjoy your driveway and your property with your kids. So if there's no other comment, do we have any public comment?
Well, Seth, I just want to say that I would like to see the updated tree planting plan if this is to be removed. I don't want to provisionally say yes. I want to see where those trees are going and what the fee in lieu of is.
I agree.
Before we
on that.
officially vote on it.
Absolutely.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. That would push this project out a month or so, just as a heads up. But that kind of is where I'm leaning to. Okay, so I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to table this for the time being. As far as what we need to see next meeting is that planting plan,
okay.
Which indicates how many trees that you can fit.
Yep.
If you can't fit all 6, then describe the fee in lieu of. And if making sure that out of those 6, 4 are large canopy trees, preferably native species. We have a list on our township website.
Okay.
And 2 can be small or medium. So do I have a second for that motion? All in favor? So, for tabling, yes. So 5 out of 7. 2. 5 yeas, 2 nays. Okay. So that's majority approved. We'll see you next meeting. Just bring those plans.
Okay.
Reach out to the township if you have any questions. We're
Okay.
happy to provide any feedback on species and everything else. But
Yeah, if it's on the website, that's fine.
appreciate it.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Next address, 105 Arbor Place, clearing permit, remove 15 trees. Good evening.
Good evening. Matthew Stone, owner of the property.
Great. Do you have any plans?
I don't.
Okay, no worries. We can bring them up. If you could just walk us through what the project is and there's 15 trees coming out, so we'll need to cover off on some details, but.
Understood.
We'll start there.
We have 15 white pines in our front yard, ranging anywhere from 10 to 25 feet from the house. Each are about 40, I'm estimating here, 40 to 50 feet tall. When we first moved in 21, we had a large branch come through our master closet, which had caused several $1,000s in damage. A few months before we moved in, our neighbors who have the same problem had a tree come down through their kitchen. I don't know how much that repair was, but I can only imagine. And it's just a safety issue. We have a couple skylights, and we can just see them swaying, and we're nervous. We're fine planting replacement trees, but they need to come down.
Yeah, I do believe one of your neighbors came before us not too long ago with the same story. I think these are just aged out, and the safety concern is absolutely real. So I'm looking at your planned removals, and I'm just doing I'm assuming you haven't done the math yet of what the compensatory trees would be.
In terms of number or kind?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So 6 to 18-inch trees, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. And then 19 to 29, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 15. Have the trees been looked at by an arborist or a tree company?
Yes. A couple have dead spots on them. Some have been deemed healthy, I suppose.
Okay. Out of the 15, how many of those? So we have a clear definition of a hazard tree, but how many of those were identified as in decline or hazardous?
2.
2? Okay.
I would say they're all hazardous, but as far as being in decline,
Sure.
2.
Sure. So if we take a look at the formula here, so those 9 6 to 18-inch.
When you say 6 to 18-inch, what do you?
So DBH, diameter at breast height.
All right.
Basically, if you're standing at the tree, it's at this height, it's the size of the tree. So just to clarify, the plan that was put together, was that put together by the tree company or yourself?
Yeah, I honestly,
Okay.
I don't know what you're looking at, but he said he submitted something.
It
Sure.
looks like this.
Okay, sure. But I think it's the same gentleman who was
Okay.
on the previous project.
Okay.
Joe.
Got it. So the 6 to 18-inch trees, there's 9 of them that would require 9 replacements.
Okay.
The 19 to 29 inch trees would require 6 replacements. I'm sorry, there are 6 of those, and they would require 18 replacements. Right, which is 2 being large canopy each, so that would be 12 of those being large canopy, and then 6 being small, medium. So in total, you would be looking at 27 trees. Now, I know we went through this with your neighbor, and I believe we made some concessions because of the situation, which we would want to stay true in fairness to that.
I'm happy to plant as many as we'll take to provide shade and all of that. I don't know if 27 is.
Yeah, 27's a lot. We get it, yeah. And 12 of those would have to be large canopy, which I don't know that you would have the room for it necessarily. So given that count, any initial thoughts from the commission?
Yeah, I would suggest talking to, Joe Hayden
Mhm.
with MG Tree, and ask him, is he a certified, I'm not sure if he is, but I think Michael Gillen, the owner, is a certified arborist. Have him fill out a tree report, a hazardous tree report, for any that you think are hazardous. If they're deemed hazardous, there's no replacements required.
Right.
Okay.
And that would reduce your total count, everything else.
If you're not trying to plant that many trees.
Well, when you say that many, I mean, I don't know if you have, I guess you wouldn't have a bird's eye view of the property. We have room to plant, not 27.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay, then, I mean, our idea would be to plant around the perimeter of the front.
Yeah, so
But I know
12 of the trees would need to be large canopy on these counts without any hazardous, so trees that grow above 50 feet or 40 feet tall.
All right. Okay.
That's
Well,
just a
that's good.
suggestion, or just say, go ahead and don't deem any of them hazardous and say, yeah, we'll get 27.
Well, either way, are you
Or
going to
whatever it
table
is.
this for now and have me come back with a plan with either the number of hazardous trees or?
So, I mean, I would encourage, get a hazard tree report completed.
Okay.
And then this guy over here, John Hosback, our arborist, can look at it and verify it.
All right.
And I do believe your neighbors, we made a concession on the count. And then also our replacement tree that we require is a 2.5 dBH tree, which it's not a gigantic tree, but it is costly. And I think we made a concession on the specific size of trees that were being replaced, if I remember correctly. Right. So we can go back and verify that because I want to be fair. But also, unlike the address that we just reviewed, which is totally healthy tree.
Right.
Yes, some concerns, but these proven a couple of times now that, we understand they're kind of end of life. They are dangerous, especially in storm scenarios.
Yeah, and
white pines are fragile.
And Seth, I mean, institutional memory here, this neighborhood was devastated by a derecho, straight line storm, and it just took, we referenced one neighbor. There were like 10 neighbors who had this issue. So it's like, these are trash trees to me when they get in the state they're in, when they're just top heavy and everything's broken off underneath. And I think, James, you'd agree, right?
Yeah, I'd agree. And if you were worried, I would say, get a hazardous tree report done, give it to John. You don't even, if they're all hazardous, then you can
Is
cut them
hazardous
down.
a term of art for the health of the tree or the danger it poses to the owner?
A little bit of both.
All right, well, okay.
Yeah, and you can talk to that guy. He knows all about it.
Great.
So let's do this. Let's table it. That way, you can get your ducks in a row. And it sounds like, we definitely want to replant some trees, and it sounds like you do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, we don't want to be unreasonable with the amount that you need to plant. And I think, in fairness to what we've decided previously with similar homes on the street, we'll go back and just make sure that we're kind of in line with that.
Assuming I get the report that says they're not good for me, can you give me so I can come back with a presentation for you that the number of trees I should expect to have to plant? Like, are you talking?
Yeah, so basically what we require is the total number of healthy trees, hazardous trees that are coming out. And from there, we can determine, how many trees need to go back in. There's a formula for the tree replacement on our website, so you can see exactly what, you would need, so that when you're planning out what you want to plant, and let's say you need to plant 15, out of that 15, let's say you can only fit 10, those additional 5 could do fee in lieu of, could do something else.
Okay.
Again, we'll be fair with this, but yeah, all of those details as noted, and then, that should get us in a position where we can move this forward.
Great.
But with that said, I'll make a motion to table. Do I have a second? All in favor of tabling? Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Reach out with any questions. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Here we are to old business. Update on the fall planting. So I'll kick it off, and then I know Frank has some info to go through. So trees are ordered. They have been ordered, 150 trees. I just sent out to Molly the other day a call for volunteers and that post. So I'm hoping she posts that this week. Hadn't gotten a confirmation yet, but I would assume that that would go out shortly. As far as total counts of residents that have signed up, give me 1 second. I will pull the latest. We have 55. We have yet to advertise this. I know we're a little behind and late, but my goal was that with the call for volunteers, and then also one of the things that we recognized in prior plantings was that in cases where we opened up registration too soon, we had cancellations or people had second thoughts. So we're kind of right in the good window right now. So we'll get Molly to post the call for volunteers. That in itself will drive people to Radnor trees, and I could only imagine the slew of registrants that we'll get from that. The update on the commitments from volunteer planters. So we currently have Shriner, who is committed for both resident, and we're waiting on confirmation for the park planting, but I'm going to assume that they will come as they always do. And then also someone from the Fall Fest had came up to us and offered their help to plant.
An individual person or?
It's a landscaping company, so of course we're not going to say no. And that is Gerard's Property Maintenance. So we can discuss what makes the most sense in regards to resident planting or park planting. The resident planting, we've been through it plenty of times, but coming in new to this as a planter, there's a lot of nuances, of course, so we'll consider that option. And then I'm waiting to hear back on a few others. So originally we had committed 100 trees to residents, 50 to parks. Ricky might get his wish where we maybe skew that one way or the other, depending on the commitments that we get from volunteer company planters for the street trees, resident street trees. But that is my main goal, to get a couple others signed up. And I know John Hosback has committed to plant a few with the township, if you guys are cool with that. So let's say we have 3 entities committed today. If we divided 100 by 3, I think that's a little unreasonable, 33 and some change for each company. I think that's a lot. I think we need at least 4 or 5 to do 25 to 20 each. So we will keep that on our pulse for the next week or two. And if we don't get, I gave everyone a deadline of November 1st. So if we don't get a commitment from 1 or 2 other tree companies or whoever they may be by the 1st, then what we're going to have to do is carve out some of those other trees to parks. And I say parks because we can't fit more than 50 trees in Emlyn to know. So we're going to throw 25 somewhere else. And Ricky's staring at me because he's going to have to dig 25 more holes. But just drop the auger off at my house and I'll take care of it.
What days do trees
the trees get in, Frank, you have that handy? The 14th? Yep. So we gave obviously, we're backed up to Thanksgiving. Give me 1 second on the date that we gave. Well, I meant the window of planting. The 13th through the 20th, but we're getting them the 14th, right? Yep.
And then, so when do you anticipate staking, just for our schedules and stuff?
Yeah, so staking, we've been consistently now doing like the 2 weekends prior to the 13th, so that would put us at early November. So that would be the weekend of, so Saturday the 9th, Sunday the 10th, and then I guess we would have to do also the weekend before that, so Saturday the 2nd or the 3rd.
We could get it done during the week, I was supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I will be away the 2nd through the 8th, but I'll be back for the 9th to stake.
And I will be away the weekend of the event, so I can front load and help more staking.
Thank you. As I saw your email around logistics of pickup of food
Yeah,
and stuff.
I didn't get any takers.
We
I
can,
will order everything, just, I only go to Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' and,
Dunkin' in the morning.
yeah,
And then I'm Chick-fil-A will donate, but if we have to do a rain date Sunday, they're closed. Which is what, we couldn't use them before either. So I think I'm just gonna do Primo's again, because that worked out fine. So that would be like an 11:30 pickup.
yeah, I think Primo's, everybody loved Primo's.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll order it. We'll just need 2 helpers maybe that day. One
Okay.
breakfast, one lunch.
I mean, I think we can coordinate. Any volunteers for food pickup? Okay, thank you, Matt.
Just one thing, and then someone else maybe can pick
Yeah.
up the other.
I would volunteer my wife, but she's
Oh my gosh.
pregnant, so
Okay.
denied. Thank you.
Yes, I'm excited.
On the record.
Yes, right. All right, thank you. All right, all settled.
Right? She could supervise and tell us what to do, right? Okay, Frank, updates. Turn your mic on.
Met with Ricky, John, and Steve Ledgerton today. We're gonna use Unkefer, Emily Tunnell, and Clem McCrone for the park plantings. We've had 18 volunteers signed up thus far. We have a young group of softball players whose parents are signing them up, and Sarah is recruiting residents in Garrett Hill to plant trees also. So we're going to have a lot of residential. Shriner's also going to be providing volunteers for the park planting, in addition to the residential plantings. Okay?
We
so
got
they'll do-
confirmation on that?
Yeah, today.
Okay, good.
That seems to be going along. One issue would be where we have the volunteers meet. You know, so we could split it and have them at both Emlyn and also Clem McCrone. I can't pronounce that damn name. Unkefer Township's going to plant there. It's just too dangerous to have volunteers over in that neighborhood. All holes are going to be pre-dug. Thanks again to Ricky and Steve.
At Unkefer, those couple of dead trees, I know we talked about those previously. Are we going to take care of those?
Yeah, they're actually starting doing that now.
Thank you. Like right now? 8 o'clock?
Yep, they're working a midnight shift.
Thank you.
And they're even going to be doing some prep in Emlyn Tunnell. There's some stumps that have to be ground out, and they'll be ground out in time for us to plant in the same area. So,
And obviously, you guys spotted out for 50 trees. If we were to add 25 to that, Clem McCrone is probably the way to go, right?
We've got Bow Connor and Clemacrone as places that could get them.
Yeah, I mean, we have the parks that we talked about with Frank. I think Bo Connor was an add-on. So, I mean, if we need anything outside that, we have plenty of parks we could do. And if it's something that we have to do in-house, that's no problem. We'll get it done.
Good man.
And we have one other gun in our pocket, and that's to go to PHS for volunteers. So let's just say it was 100 trees in the park, just kind of a worst-case type scenario.
Don't give Ricky a heart attack.
We can get volunteers from corporate volunteers, which we haven't tapped into yet.
Sure, okay.
Maybe we'll get that liquor company or Accenture or DeVita to come back.
Yeah. And I reached out to some of my crew too, to see what we can round up. So it does, I know we talked about limiting the park plantings to one park, but given the scenario, I think, you know, what we'll need to do is divide and conquer. But I also think I'm hoping we'll get 40 volunteers, 20 can go to Emlyn, 20 can go to Clem. We can divide and conquer from a site captain perspective. I do still need to, I've been speaking with the Conservancy around a couple of things, but see if they're committing and how many folks they can help be site captains, because a lot of them are
They usually respond to the
tree tenders.
the website.
Yep.
Because most of our tree tenders are Conservancy people.
Okay, so I just want to be real with the backup plan if we don't get enough tree company volunteers for the street tree planting, to possibly expect another 25 that we could throw into Clemacrone.
In the past, it's been pretty much one tree per volunteer.
And I will say at the Willows this spring, we completed within 2.5 hours, around there.
Because the holes were dug.
2.5, 3 hours, yeah, because of the holes, so pretty quick process. Okay.
The second part I wanted to mention is that we're going for a grant to fund this project. It's a $10,000 PICO grant that we're going to be filing tomorrow morning before noon. Melissa has been pulling the whole thing together. We've contributed content and stuff, budgets and pictures of parks and stuff. But the plan is to submit that and see if we can get $10,000 of the 20 that we're going to have to spend.
Great. Thank you for running point on that. I did read the emails, if that counts. Okay, Ricky, any concerns on the fall planting? Any thoughts, questions? Everything good?
No, I think everything is looking good. Looking forward to another successful fall planting year.
Love it.
Hey, Seth, did you say
Yes.
Clemacrone was not for volunteers? Because it's dangerous, so they'll only be at Unkiefer and Emlyn?
Unkifer,
Unkifer,
which is like the entryway to the township from the east.
right.
Yeah.
So just those two will be volunteers?
No, Unkifer will not have volunteers.
Oh, Unkifer will not. I thought it was
So-
Clemacrone. Okay.
Emlyn to Nell, and then providing that we get enough volunteers, then we'll send a second group to Clemacrone.
Got it.
If we don't get enough volunteers, then I'm looking at the guy that's going to coordinate, and I'll be there with you to plant. Yeah, I think we'll be just fine. This year, just, I don't know, if it's a personal feels super busy, or if everyone feels busy post-COVID, I don't know. But we're doing what we need to do. I think it's just me, so I apologize. Yes. Public comment.
Sarah Pilling, 29 Garrett Ave. First, can I give you some feedback? I'm sitting in this room, and I cannot hear what you're saying, and you're supposed to be on video so that the public can come and hear you. So may I ask that you be sure your mics are on? If you're going to go to Clemacrone, I'm only soliciting because I'm interested in building community, and we have new residents above the bridge on Garrett Avenue. And so I'm hand delivering the flyer to residents of Garrett Avenue above the bridge.
Thank you.
Plus Robin Mann, plus Tom Ellis, plus our elusive commissioner. May I suggest that you get a flyer to the commissioner? And I'll be real honest, nobody knows who he is.
We did send a flyer,
Well,
yet to be
I
distributed.
think a telephone call to him to light a fire under his tail, particularly if you're going to go to Clem McCrone. That's a whole different audience
Sure.
than Emlyn Tennell.
Absolutely. And if one of the pieces of feedback that we got from Clem McCrone previously was making sure that there's a lot of backyards and getting as many people involved as we can that are hyper local to that area.
Right, because the first time we did Clem McCrone, people who had the backyard said, why don't we know about this? Gee, we'd have come to help.
Mhm.
That was when we did it with DeVita.
Mm-hmm.
And even the DeVita people said, why are those people aren't on this side of the fence planting?
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend leaning on James Coates and seeing if you can't get him to be more involved. And I can feed to Frank, who I think the leaders are, who live on Williams and on Rockingham. And you can too, James. You know who the people are who are involved in Garrett Hill. But I will do everything I can. I'll go up and down Garrett Avenue and try and speak to as many people in addition to giving them a flyer. But I want them to come because I want them to have an investment in Emlyn Tennell.
We very much appreciate that, Sarah.
Well,
Thank
it's my agenda, not necessarily yours.
It's a dual agenda. Thank you. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions on old business? Old business, new business. So this past Monday at the Board of Commissioners meeting, our ordinance amendment was adopted. So that means officially we can say $300 for resident replacement trees, $500 for commercial. And then also our net new formula is in place. So if you're removing more than 50% of trees on your lot, then the replacement tree formula increases. Yeah. And also a new requirement of indicating all trees on property for any projects. And then also part of that adoption was the removal of the ash tree exception for hazard tree reports. So obviously the ordinance was posted a month ago. It was brought to the BOC a month before that and then adopted. And all of this is put into newspapers. It's posted in agendas. It's online. But I do feel like there's going to be a sense of communication that needs to happen around this. So I've yet to give that thought in regards to how we do it. But my one thought that I wanted to bring to the board tonight, and I can make this happen in the next couple of days, is we can put on radnortrees.com, maybe not like in red at the top, the ordinance has changed, but somewhere around where the registration is, have a nice little call out that says, hey, by the way, as of X date, our ordinance is updated, FYI, and here's a link for more information kind of thing. Does that sound reasonable?
It does, thank you. And I was actually going to ask about the communication or dissemination plan. Maybe if we're going to do something, then we can actually use that opportunity to just promote ourselves and what we're trying to do instead of just updating. You know what I mean? If you're going to go through the motions anyway, why not make it?
I think it would be odd if we on behalf of Shade Tree just said, hey, we updated the ordinance.
Right, right.
I agree, it should be something more so around that. So a passive way to bring awareness is just have a small little section on Radnor trees, and then we can think about, if a broader comms makes sense, and obviously we would bring that to the township to see if they
Do you
they
know when
agree.
the website will be updated with this?
In the next 2 to 10 days.
Are you doing that, or someone else?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, if you want to assist in writing copy, I mean, I'm always open for volunteers. But yeah, the plan was radnortrees.com will throw a little blurb.
Can I ask you a question, Seth?
Mm-hmm.
Does that ordinance go into effect right away, or is there like a time period for it?
It's been adopted, yeah. So it was introduced a month ago.
So anything that comes to us now is,
As of, what
That
was
last meeting?
last Monday?
Okay.
It was October 14th, so
there's
as
like
of,
no grace period or anything in between?
not that I'm aware of. I
Okay.
mean, we could, obviously, like in progress projects, so like if your project is under active construction and it was prior approved, it's not
It's
affected.
sticking.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then the last one was the ash trees.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I can't remember, but it's the same thing, except you need to get a hazardous tree report.
Right, so, yeah.
So we make sure that's an ash tree.
Right.
Gotcha, okay.
So before, if it was ash, you just take it down. Now, if it's ash, submit a report, but it doesn't require compensatory trees.
Got it.
There
And
may,
it's the same report, a hazardous tree report?
Mhm.
Like, what if there's a live ash tree, it doesn't matter, you still use a hazardous tree report? Should we think about doing a new form for just hazardous trees to?
well, so it would be, if it's a live ash, then it would, if you're cutting down more than 5 live ash trees, you'd have to come before us if, well, those would, they're accepted from the rule, meaning you would have to submit, plans and a hazard tree report, yes.
But there's still no compensatory plantings? Compensatory plantings?
No
Yeah,
compensatory,
okay.
correct, yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Anything else business related? All right, hazard trees. Hazardous trees removed by residents, 225 Pembroke. I know John had to tail out, but let me just take a quick peek at those plans. I don't know, Ricky, if you have any insight into those.
I do not. I know John didn't mention anything that stood out in particular to those, other than him just verifying. Ms.
Okay.
Leah might have something to say.
I know the one at 800 Lancaster, he said was in really, really bad shape, and even though it was Villanova, he approved it ahead of time.
Got it. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures now and the reports. Okay. Trees removed by Radnor Township. Ricky, you want to run us through any highlights?
Yeah, everything checked out is fine, just normal trees that were vetted by John. The only one that I want to touch on is the one at Odoriceo Park, that 59-inch locust. That was the one that was on the big hazardous tree report that we had did, and the only reason why we held it off with removal because the Conservancy members wanted to, I guess, see how John arrived at that conclusion. So we went out and did a field visit, and he showed them everything that made him have to condemn that tree. So once that was done, the tree was then removed. I know John had talked about planting there because he wants to start a program where we're replanting under trees that are starting to decline. So by the time that tree needs to be removed, you'll have something already growing, and it'll be smaller than, bigger than a ball and burlap tree or the bare root trees that we traditionally put in. So we will have to replant in that area. So I don't know if there'll be some extras left over from the planting to put there. I know, just to mention, at the site visit, I don't know why I didn't pay attention to this before, but John brought it to our attention. At Tennell, there is a beautiful black gum tree there that is like a fire red, and he was just talking about how resistant those trees are to just disease and problems and all that. So, it took me by surprise. So hopefully we'll be able to, throw that tree in somewhere. I would definitely like to see that around more often. But I got off the subject that everything's good on the list.
Thank you. I like a good black gum, too.
May I ask a question? I just thought of it. You know,
Sure.
we have the free mulch program in our township. I use it a lot. Where do the trees go that the township takes down? Like, does that go into that mulch program, the free mulch?
The free mulch, that's leaf mulch, so that's from our leaf program.
Okay.
So all the trees that are taken down, there's a huge wood chip pile at Skunk Hollow,
Okay.
and that's where all the trees are usually from.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But that wood chip pile is not open to the residents, right?
It is not. The only place you can get it is if you go to Skunk Hollow. We don't have the capacity in the parks to have the leaf mulch and the wood chips. So right now it's just the leaf mulch. But if you do want wood chips, we would have no problem providing them. There is a pile, we'll have a couple piles at Skunk Hollow, but we don't have it, and we don't have those bins in the parks for that.
Yep. Very good. All right. Any public participation? None. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, thanks, guys.